Advanced servo matching has been available in Ethos for a little while now, and I believe it's something that's very underutilized. In this video I'm going to show you the benchtop version of how I match servos. So in this case we're looking at our two rudder servos. The first thing I'm going to do is create a special free mix. Now what this free mix will do is it will allow us to not have to hold the stick in order to manipulate the servos how we'd like. So what I'm going to do is create a mix with the source being pot 1, and I'm going to make the outputs rudder 1 and rudder 2. So for the initial part of the setup I'm not actually going to use the matching function, I'm just going to use subtrim, PWM center and endpoint. So in this case I'm actually going to create the worst possible scenario. I'm actually going to match these two servos across an angle there. So I'm going to pick that servo 1, and I'm going to, with no linkage attached, what I'm going to do is drop the screw in from above and do the centering. So I'm going to just adjust that PWM center until there is no load on that screw. So if you see where I've got it now, it's loaded up and you can see it pulling the screw over one way, and then I eventually get it to the point where the screw is standing up just up straight and there is no load on it. So now we're going to remove the screw, and now that we've got that set to our pot we're going to move to the full range of motion and we're going to put it back in here. So now we can see here that we're actually very tight. We need to create more movement as it's pushing the screw away from the other servo arm. So the highlighted one, we're going to increase that until we get to the point where it's about right. There's no friction on that all the way to the bottom. I can see it's just spot on there. Now I'm going to, once again, I'm going to remove this screw. I'm going to go into the other direction. And then we're going to do the same part of the process. Look at the highlighted one, we're not even reaching the hole now. So we're going to increase that, decrease it to bring it closer. And I'm going to adjust it until we get it to screw in. And feel very little movement, very little friction on the screw. See, if I increase that value, we see it start to bind up on the screw until we just get to that sweet spot right in the middle. Good. So now we're going to take the screw out again and we're going to go into the servo match function. So now, as you might be able to tell, I've actually created a very nightmarish situation for servo matching. And that was quite deliberate because my first attempt was actually too easy at making this video. So now we're going to scroll down to the bottom, we're going to go balance channels. We've already got the rudder 1 selected, we're going to also select rudder 2. It goes without saying that if you are matching more than 2 channels, you can select more than 2 in this. So we're going to go OK now. And we're going to make a little adjustment here. 5-point matching is the standard. I like a bit more than that. I'm going to go with 9. And I like smoothing, so that's quite nice. Now I'm going to go to one end of the range. I'm going to put this screw in. I'm going to see how it goes. So now by selecting this, I can now adjust that. I've actually selected that first dot, that first point. We could actually see a slider. We'll see that a bit clearer as we go along. Let's see, if I go this way, it's loaded right up. It's loaded up. Now it's feeling super free. So that looks really good. So now with the rotary, I'm going to move along to this next point for balancing. And I can actually already feel there that it's very tight there. It's very out of balance. So I'm going to bring that up because I think that's what it needs. Up quite a lot, and we're now perfect. That feels great now. There's very little load on there. Quite quiet servos, but having a little bit of a chat there. So now we're going to move on. I'm going to have to unlock it because I've accidentally locked it. Moving on to that next point. And once again, I'm going to press the lock button. You select that point, and then I'm going to assume it needs to come up, and it does. So really good now. Unlock again. And actually this point is quite close. Again, one of the consequences of doing very strange geometry here was to allow me to demonstrate how non-linear the movement of these two servos is. This is representing your worst possible install. Once again, I've locked it there. I'm going to unlock it. Now the lock function is nice because it means you don't necessarily have to go with what I'm doing here as far as the setting everything up on the pot, but the pot makes things a lot easier. So now I'm moving across to the next one. So I'm going to bring the bar across to that dot. I feel it's nice and tight there. And as I go this way, it gets a whole lot better. It's way too far. And I've achieved very nice matching about there. So now we're moving to the next position. I'm going to move the servo over, and we can repeat the process. If I go this way, it's getting tighter. Come down here, we can get to the point where there's absolutely no load on it. It's perfect there. And we come across to the next point, and we move the servo over. It's actually started out very good there. Tight and incredibly loose down there. Then we move to the end point. We've already checked this when we did the end points, but we can check it again. It's actually gotten a little bit better if I bring it. No, it's pretty well, it was perfect before. Okay, so now it looks as though we've pretty well matched these two horribly matched servos. So now what I'm going to do is tighten up this screw. I'm going to get the correct tool for that, which is right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the telemetry for the current, and we're going to actually make sure that the current is good. So we've got current there. I'm going to just configure this widget, value, telemetry, RX current. I was trying to avoid using my fingers to not make the screen greasy, but so now what we're going to do is to check our matching. We're going to watch that current value. So I'm just sweeping slowly with the potentiometer, and I'm looking to see if that value changes, and it's very, very close. And so as you can hopefully see, we've pretty much got two horribly mismatched servos very nicely matched. For this process to work, you would generally use one servo as your master servo, the one that you've set to the control surface and set your throws how you'd like them, and then let's say a support servo. There are a lot of good resources about servo matching and geometry. This video obviously hasn't covered that, and this video has obviously given you the worst case scenario you can possibly imagine for servo matching, but it does show the functionality quite well. So I hope this video has been useful. Share it around, and let me know if there's any topics you'd like me to cover in the future.